Hey guys, Natalie and I, we want to do something for our parents. One of the big struggles in any youth ministry and for any teenager now growing up is media and phones, and man, it's just one of those things that as technology continues to grow and increase, I think our awareness as leaders and parents needs to grow and increase as well, because our teenagers, they face a lot of battles every day, and a lot of things we don't even know about because of technology, and the enemy just tempts in a lot of different areas through apps and different things. So something Natalie and I have thought about doing as a resource to you is as we study and we learn different techniques of protecting our teenagers, is maybe once a week or so, just doing a little video giving you resources of how to protect your student through media. And one of the things I want to share with you today is Natalie's gonna take the camera down to the phone here, is a simple technique here that you can protect your students. She's hiding from her passcode. Protect your students on their phone, and this is a very simple one to start off with. Is the very first thing is to create restrictions on your kid's phone. Is you want to go to settings if they have an iPhone, and then you want to go down to general, and then you want to go to restrictions. You see that right there, restrictions. And what's going to happen is you're going to go up, it's got a list of all these different things you can do, but before you can do that, you want to enable restrictions. And here you're going to create a password that your student, a teenager, kid, whatever, they don't know. So you need to create something that you usually do not use. So here, just for an example, I'm just going to do 1111, and you're going to re-enter it again. That way you know what you enter there so you don't forget. And then this is where you can go through and you can edit restrictions. If you have a student you don't want access to the internet at all, you can turn off internet access. You can turn off use to the camera, turn off use to Siri. If you don't want them FaceTiming, you can turn off access to FaceTime, which is really neat. You can do things like this: AirDrop, CarPlay. And then you get down to turning off access to iTunes Store, Apple Music, if you don't want them listening to things like that, or using that iBook Store, podcast. And here's one I encourage you to use is deleting apps, installing apps, whatever. One of the things that teenagers are dealing with nowadays is apps that they know they shouldn't have, or maybe it's one they don't really know that they shouldn't have. But what can happen is if they install it, and a good way for you to know what they're installing on their phone is turning off deleting apps. And that way when you check the phone, they can't get rid of it. It's still going to be on their phone no matter what, and there's no way for them to delete it if you turn off deleting apps. So that's something to think about there. But this is where the main part of the restrictions is, and this is what I have personally on my iPhone. And the guys in our youth group that have taken the accountability challenge, they've let me set this up on their iPhone, and they don't know the password. I'm the only one that does, which is really cool. They let me do that. But this is what I do. I turn off explicit music and podcast and news. That means they cannot download or listen to any explicit music through iTunes or podcast. I'm not turning movies, if they watch movies, PG-13, PG, whatever the age of your student is, or whatever you feel more comfortable with. You can go to TV shows and do the exact same thing. I set mine at TV, PG. Books, and this is something that I think we need to be aware of. You can go on audiobooks and listen to samplings of man, there's some pornography in books that have really gotten into teenagers' heads, because they're looking on there and things pop up, and they can listen to audio samplings of audiobooks, and it's just very explicit. So you can turn that off and take away all temptation from that. Apps, this is a big one. You can allow the age group of apps that you want on your teenager's phone or kid's phone. You can allow only 12 and up apps, which that keeps Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat on your kid's phone. But if you go 9 and plus, I believe, I haven't done a lot of research on that, but I believe that takes off Instagram, Snapchat, and such. 4 plus means no social media at all, just the game apps and things like that. I set mine at 12 just so I can be able to have social media, but it removes the explicit apps like the Sarah app, which is man. If you guys have heard anything about that is a no-go app. It sets up for cyberbullying and sexual content. anonymously. So it cuts stuff like that off. I believe it takes off YouTube as well, which for some guys, they really don't need access to YouTube. I take off the explicit content if you don't want your kids accidentally hearing swear words or anything like that. And here's a big one on websites, especially if you have a young man. I'll do this, go to websites and limit adult content. And what you can do, if you have a kid, you could do specific websites only, to where the only websites they can go to is it has a list of things you can go to here, or you can create your own custom website of Discovery Kids, Disney, PBS Kids, different things like that. On mine, I do a limit adult content, and Natalie's the only one that knows the password to my phone. And then specific websites that we block. For the teenagers I have in my group, I block Twitter just because they don't ever use it. And man, Twitter, there's a lot of things that have been popping up on Twitter, pornography, things that if you just block that, it's going to take away a big percentage of different things. If you can think of any other specific websites that don't fall under the adult content, like pornography or things questionable, you can block them right there where they can't have access to them. And then down here, you just have different things that you can mess with. If you don't want them, you can multiplayer games, adding friends, screen recording, different things like that. But I hope this was a resource for you. You can mess around with that. I really encourage you doing that. It's something that I use, and I encourage all of our especially the guys in our youth group, to allow me to do it to their phone, at least their parents to do it to their phone, just because, man, the Bible talks about today, we read today in our Sunday school class in James, that if you resist the devil, he will flee from you. And one way you can resist the devil is taking away his access to tempting you on your phone. And I think it's very important for us to be accountable to our students and give them as many resources and as many chances that we can give them to succeed and to overcome and to resist the devil. So hopefully that is a resource to you. Feel free to let me know of anything else that you'd like to learn about. Like I said, I'd like to do this once or twice, at least a month. Love you guys. I'm praying for you. You have the greatest privilege and honor in the world of being parents to such incredible students, and it's an honor for us to be able to call them our students in youth ministry. Love you guys. God bless.